Hey, how's it going, guys? Neve here, and welcome back to the channel. If you guys are new here and you don't know what we do, is we basically put out course level information for absolutely free for those of you who don't have enough money for an Amazon FBA program or are just not ready to invest in one right now. And if you guys have been following the channel for a little bit, then you know that recently in the past 2.5, 3 months, I actually launched a brand new product in a brand new market, brand new Amazon FBA seller account, literally starting from scratch in 2021. And the reason I did this was because I wanted to be able to show you guys, or at least even test if it was still possible to make money, starting from complete scratch with like a small budget. And if you guys haven't seen my first update to this video, or rather this video series, go ahead and check out the video I made on my first 2 weeks selling on Amazon, because this video is gonna be my first 2 months after that selling on Amazon. And like I did in the first one, what I wanna do is I wanna pull back the curtain of literally everything, show you my profits, my losses, probably not day by day for the 2 months, but I'll probably show you week by week. I'll also explain to you some tactics and strategies that I used, and kind of my outlook on where this business and brand is going, in this whole space. Also, I'll talk to you about how I'm going to scale this business. And one of the biggest things that nobody, really does here is I'm going to share with you exactly some of the, negative sides and some of the things that have really gone wrong, on this process. And as many of you guys probably know, I've been selling on Amazon since 2017. So there has been, I've run, with many of these kind of issues in the past. But when your product is doing, pretty well, there's a lot of things you're going to run into and a lot of things you should expect. And, that's going to be one aspect that I'm going to share in this video, just really showing you guys exactly what it's really like, and the problems you're going to go through, most likely, selling on Amazon. And before we do dive in, guys, before I do pull back the curtain on everything that's been going on these past 2 months, as you can see, this is not my normal filming, place. And if you guys have been following me for a while, you probably know that I haven't been posting too often recently. And that's because actually, a few months ago, I moved from Toronto to Scottsdale, Arizona. I was there for about 3 months. It was awesome. It was amazing to spend the winter there, to have the beautiful weather. But I actually got fed up with kind of the, I would say, materialistic aspect of living in the US, kind of always needing to buy stuff, always needing to shop and spend money, basically. So what I decided to do was actually kind of drop all that stuff and move to Mexico. So right now, for the next couple of months, I'm here in Mexico. Right now, I'm in Playa del Carmen. In a few weeks, I'll be going to Puerto Vallarta, then maybe Sayulita and stuff like that. So if there's anyone in these general areas who wants to meet up or do something like that, please leave a comment down below, and maybe we'll do it. So for those of you who don't care, let's move on to my 2 months selling on Amazon update. All right, so this is where we left off in the last one. I believe it was around March 20th. We had just recently run out of stock, and again, I won't do any spoils for the first video, so go ahead and check that out if you want to. But we're out of stock in this, in this position, and basically we just raised the prices, and this were the sales for March 20th. So, to the 21st. So now let's go from the 20th to the 27th, and this is 1 week. And again, as you can see, we've only really made $128 in sales right here, $50 in profit. We've only really sold 3 units, and that's again because we didn't have any inventory. What was happening here was, as Amazon moves around your inventory, you might have inventory that's moving from one facility to the other, and they're not available. And then once they get to the facility, they are available for sale. So this is kind of what that was. Then let's move from the 27th to the 3rd. And here we actually got back into stock a little bit. And as you can see, we made $3,300 in sales, about $1,600 in profit. If you look at the breakdowns here, you can see the advertising costs, promos, all that kind of stuff. And really, it wasn't too much. You can see all the FBA fees, taxes, etc., all in the software. If you guys are wondering what the software is, this is Sellerize. It's the one I use for my sales and profit, stuff like that. I do really like it. You can also use Helium 10 if you don't want to really spend too much money everywhere. They also have like a pretty decent sales and profit dashboard as well. I just like how clean it looks here. So that's pretty much that. We still are not spending any PPC, again, because we were always short on inventory. Our product was selling super, super well. If you guys don't know, it's because we were one of the first to markets. At this point, there was a few more competitors coming in the space, maybe 2 or 3 that were also doing really, really well. But if you guys watched the first video, you know that we had made quite a nice differentiation in terms of quality, and the pictures were great. Everything was really awesome with this product, so everything was looking good. So here you can see we made $1,600 in March 27th to April 3rd. As our inventory started getting back in stock, you can see that our total profit margin and ROI was 50%, for profit margin and 313% ROI. Now guys, this is not normal. And we knew, when I was kind of doing this stuff, I knew that like eventually the profit margin was going to have to drop. The reason we kept the price super high was because we just didn't have enough inventory to sell, and Amazon was giving us, Amazon ASIN level inventory limits. So we couldn't really send in more inventory until Amazon allowed us to, and so we had to sell what we had kind of a little bit more slowly, so we had to raise the price. But we knew that, listen, you can't have 50% margins on Amazon forever. There's going to be competition that's going to come. There's going to be people who are going to come in there and, kind of bring that price down. And that's actually one of the parts we're going to talk about later is some of the things that I've learned and some of, like I said, the things that have happened in this market that really, made it more difficult. So everything's, all rosy here. So we go from the 3rd to the 10th, and you can see that from the 3rd to the 10th, we actually had, same kind of really high margins. We made $2,800 in profit that day. I'll just kind of show you these numbers here if you want to see the FBA fees, all that kind of stuff. But we won't spend too much time here because there's a lot I want to cover in this video, and kind of can get pretty monotonous if I just keep showing you the same things. As you can see here, the profit margin ROI actually dropped here. Again, the reason for this we'll talk about a little bit, but there was becoming more and more competition in the space. That's one of the reasons, and the second reason I'll actually save for a little bit later to explain to you why we did this. It's very important to stick around for that because, as competition comes into the market, you need to be able to know what to do to be one of the competitors that sticks around for a long time and kind of gets those thousands and thousands of views and becomes a staple in the market. So this was kind of a move, and we started the move here to start to develop our brand presence in the space. Again, we still have zero PPC spend because we were just selling too much, and spending on PPC was just not going to be worth it because we would have run out of stock. So you can see 222 units, and we made $2,500 in net profit from just one product in one market on one seller account. So that was April 10th to the 17th. Let's keep moving. I guess I'm kind of overlapping them because this, I keep doing the 17th, so I'll go to the next one, I guess. But the 17th to the 24th, we did 5,000 in profit, 42% margin. So we really started shooting up. We're selling like 400 units per week, basically. So it was absolutely crazy. Then let's go to the 24th to May 1st. And as you can see, the profit margin from here is actually going to start to drop quite drastically, and you'll see here. So we 3,896 in profit in this month. Then from the 1st to the 8th, so you can see 174% margin, 174% ROI, 40% margin, 3,400. And as you'll notice too, is our units start to shoot through the roof. We actually start selling a lot more units. So 8th to the 15th, so we're at 441 units, 2,700 in profit, and the margin now is at 28% with 100% ROI. Okay. As you can see, we also started spending PPC, so that's obviously eating heavily into our profit margins as well. That's another thing that kind of does happen here. Now, 15th to the 22nd, as you can see, again, we still have PPC, and as you see now, we actually have a couple of variations coming out for this product. A lot of the people in the market were selling really well, but they had like 9 variations. Unfortunately, for some reason, we had some inventory limits for our products, and so I'll go over those in a little bit too, but here we are. You can see they're starting to sell a little bit. The margin ROI is about 30%. We have some pretty heavy PPC spend that we started to use. It's going to take a little time to optimize that, so that's how that is. As you can see, we're selling 500 units of the first one, 8 and 1 for that week. Then 22nd to today is, I believe, the 28th, so let's just do 22nd to the 29th. And as you can see, our week is coming to a close. We have 458 units of this, 2,700 profit just from this one, 200 from one of the variations, and 42 from the newest variation. So as you can see, the profit's going to be around the 30% mark. That's where we're trying to keep it at. We will not be going anything below this price. So this is kind of our solid target price that we were actually hoping to be selling for at the beginning. But obviously, because of the increased demand for the product, we couldn't actually keep it there. We would have run out of stock, so we had to raise the prices. So now let's go ahead and look at the whole time from the 20th to today, which is the 28th, and you can see that we have done 65,000 in sales in about like 2 months, basically 25,000 in profits, 162% margin, 37% ROI, or the other way around. You guys got it. That's almost $600 in spend, and as you can see, the 2 new variations are starting to pick up. This one came in the most recently, but this is kind of our breadwinner right now. The reason why these 2 haven't picked up as much right now is because This one right here is actually currently for pre-order. If you don't know, Amazon does pre-order sometimes where it's say in stock on May 31st, but buy it now and then it will kind of deliver in a week or 2 weeks. Doesn't really work really well on Amazon. It's obviously nice that we got 8 units sold of this one, but again, we're waiting for it to come in fully stock before we'll actually start seeing sales there. This one is fully in stock, but it has a longer delivery time than this one. This one actually has a 1 day Prime delivery, and this one actually has a 1 week Prime delivery or something like that, because it is a brand new product. They're FC processing and transferring a lot of the units, so that's what that is. So that's kind of the reason this is how this is going to be playing out. Again, if you guys want to see the updates to this going forward in the future, if you have any questions, anything like that, leave them in the comments. Let me know in the comments that you want to see these videos, because I do want to share this journey with you guys as much as I can. Leave a like to, again, just show me you guys want to see more of this stuff. So as you can see here, just to kind of show you the whole trajectory from the 20th to where we are today, there's actually a lot of these peaks and valleys. And the reason I'm going to share this with you, the reason I'm going to kind of show you this is because obviously with anything there's ups and downs and stuff like that, but really the reason why you can see these peaks and valleys here are actually almost directly proportionate and correlated to when we've had hard times with this product, when we've had difficulties of things not working out well the way that they're supposed to. And I might actually leave this graph up to see if I can actually line up some of those problems with what was happening here. So part 2 of this video, I don't want to just show you guys the good stuff. I don't want to just explain to you like, oh, look how awesome this is. While it is awesome, while this isn't something that I think I'd be able to do with any other business model, to make $60,000 in revenue in just less than 2 months basically, I don't think any other business model can do this with only basically one product. But there is a lot of hardships, there's a lot of challenges. And so I wrote down everything, while this was going through, to kind of explain to you that, hey, this stuff is awesome, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong. And maybe if you hear this stuff, you'll be better prepared for, if something happens with you, or you'll even just understand that if something does happen with you, it's normal, like it happens. You don't have to, panic or anything like that. Just take it one step at a time and deal with each challenge as it comes. So let's start off with some of the negatives, some of the things that I wasn't expecting on this journey necessarily this badly, but everything happens, right? You got to be ready for anything. So throughout this whole process, especially with some of these big dips, especially this one right here and this one right here, it was due to some hijackers. If you guys don't know what hijackers are, it's basically people who steal your listing and sell and pretend to be your brand selling on your product. There are obviously ways to protect against this, like having trademark. And while we do have a trademark, it's pending right now. And as a pending trademark, it's actually not super valuable to be able to take people who are counterfeit sellers off of your listing until it's actually processed. So we had to do some things. There was a lot of kind of ordering products, sending pictures to Amazon, and trying to prove to them that this is not the right product. So basically throughout this whole process, we had 5 hijackers in the past 2 months. During that time too, we were trying to launch new variations and different things to kind of expand our offerings. And during that time, Amazon actually wrongfully labeled a lot of our new variations as restricted products. Now, they are not restricted products. I have combed through all the restricted products. I have created dummy listings for these things, and none of them are actually restricted products. Algorithm catches certain things that by accident sometimes, and that's exactly what happened with ours. We actually did get them to remove the restricted product, but when I actually tried to create the parent listing, if you guys have ever created a parent listing, you have all the child listings and you kind of merge them into a parent listing so they all show up on the same detail page. Amazon actually restricted the parent listing, let all the child listings sell, but restricted the parent listing, which meant that we couldn't merge the listings together. And what that kind of did, even though we were appealing, for some reason they wouldn't let us sell it. And so we actually had to scrap that listing and make a new one. And then that's where we are now. But for a long time, about a week, we had all the variations separately too, which is why some of them weren't selling as good as they could have been if they were under one listing, sharing reviews with the kind of main listing that we had. And on that whole review thing, when actually we were able to merge all the listings and everything was supposedly going to be okay, what happened is our title was changed. All our bullet points, descriptions, search terms, all the time that we took to craft the listings was all deleted. And luckily we had everything on a backup file. So always have a backup file with all your information, because it kind of erased everything. So imagine if you didn't have it saved, you'd have to redo literally everything. On top of that, what they decided to do when they merged listings is actually remove all the reviews that we had for that one product. We had about 95 reviews for one of our products, and we brought some variations. We wanted to bring them all in together, and it deleted all reviews. So luckily we got that sorted out as well. Now all the reviews are back and showing up exactly as they should be, but for about 3-4 days we didn't have reviews. We had a messed up title that we couldn't change. We didn't have product features and then the search terms, and everything was kind of a mess for a few days. And again, you can see that reflected in the graphs as well. Another cool thing that happened while we're talking about the variations is that one of the variations inventory actually showed up for a different variation. So I'm not sure how common this is because I actually didn't sell many variations in the past. But what ended up happening was a listing became active with the wrong inventory attached to it. I think Amazon caught it, but at the time it was a huge headache to try and figure out what to do with that because people were buying it, but the inventory was wrong. And so that was also a mess. I'm actually still dealing with some repercussions of that right now. About 100 units that should be on one inventory product are actually on another one. This is something that happens even though everything is labeled correctly. Hopefully Amazon can figure that out. Hopefully that's not anything a big problem. But that again is something that we ran into. Now let's take it back to the beginning here. As you can see at the beginning here, we have no inventory. And the reason for that was because Amazon had ASIN level inventory limits. Right now they've actually recently removed that. So it's all based on categories. So luckily for people who are starting off, you guys get more inventory space. But what ended up happening is we had about 300 units that were supposed to come from a third-party warehouse to the Amazon fulfillment centers. And what happened next kind of shocked me, but basically the third-party warehouse actually just sent the inventory to Amazon without having any of the FBA shipment labels on the boxes themselves. What this meant is that when the products were delivered to Amazon, Amazon had no idea whose products these were. They weren't labeled correctly. The units were labeled correctly, but the outside boxes were not. And it took about 1 month, almost more than 1 month, to actually find those units and to get those units to the right inventory. So that's why we were, out of stock here for this long, because we were actually supposed to have inventory come in, but about 300 units were completely lost. We thought that we lost that inventory and it was gone, again, due to a mistake from a third-party warehouse. So another thing we had to deal with on this whole process. Another thing that we had to deal with, which again, I've literally lost count. I don't even know how many things we've talked about now, but it was increased competition from China. So at this point, we have tons of competition who have entered the market. As you guys can see, the actual profit margins ROI have decreased, and we'll talk about why. But one of the reasons, one of those factors, is because there's a lot more competition from China coming in, selling the product for super, super cheap. And not that they're doing super well, at all, but when there's more options, people do end up getting siphoned to other kind of versions, right? So that was one of the biggest things that kind of triggered that in the market for us. There was probably about 30 plus people, for us, maybe 20 of them, 25 of them from China. When you click on their side name, it has Chinese letters and stuff. So there's a couple things that we did to deal with that. So one, we obviously lowered our price, and we lowered it to our target price. It was a price that we wanted to launch at and kind of sell at, consistently. And what that ended up doing was, or the reason we ended up doing that was partially because of the increased competition, but partially because when there's a new market being formed, and if you guys watched the first video, you'll know that this is kind of a product in a new market that's not super competitive right now, but will be. What you want to do is not necessarily make as much profit as possible. You actually want to just sell as many units as possible, because the more units you sell, the more reviews you're going to get, and the more reviews you're going to get, then you'll be able to solidify yourself in the market. So one of the things was increased competition led us to decrease our price. Then also we realized, it's actually not a terrible thing to decrease our price, because we actually should be getting a bunch of reviews. And as we had thousands of units be actually arriving in Amazon, we had the inventory to be able to sustain our demand. So we lowered the price, and that was again to get more reviews, which actually has worked. We have gotten I think 70 reviews in the last 30 days or something, just because we're selling a crazy amount, but also because our price is super low, so we can have many more units being sold. On the day here, we sold 108 units on May 25th, which was absolutely crazy, right? So we're selling tons of units, which means that we'll be able to compete in the future, right? Because if we get 1,000 reviews or 2,000 reviews, it'll be very hard to compete with us, right? And so that's one of the biggest driving factors is, okay, let's not get a lot of profit right now. Or, I mean, our profit is still pretty good, 30% after PPC, after literally 100% expenses, which is still really good. And, what that's going to allow us to do is later on, once we have 1,000, 2,000 reviews, and we've really solidified our place in the market, we can raise our prices slowly and, start to increase the kind of the profit margins there to maybe 35, 40%. And that will be justified by the amount of reviews we have, while everybody else is not going to have as many reviews, right? So we can justify our price increase. So that's, another reason. And then lastly, one of the biggest reasons that, our actual ROI and profit margin went down was because of that same reason. We wanted to have more sales and get more reviews. So what we did is we ended up adding a free gift into our product. Something that ended up costing us, probably include shipping and product cost, was almost probably about $1 a unit. And when your margins, when your margins are like, when your product cost goes from $550 to $650, that's actually a decent amount of increase. So, and that's not advertised on the listing anywhere, but we know that if we did that, again, it would let us get our reviews, and then it would let us have the higher profit margins later. So I believe those three things together were the reasons why you can see that it went from like around 40% to where we are now, about 30%. And again, increased competition from China, that's just basically going to happen no matter what. Lowering our price to a lower price to be able to get more sales, and then 3, adding that free gift that actually costs a decent amount. We actually have considered putting in a different gift that would be about 30 cents instead of $1, and I think we're going to try that out and see how that works, just kind of like a test run at that gift, just to raise our profit margins a little bit, because again, this is a gift that we're not advertising on a listing, but so far it has worked really, really well in terms of reviews, and so we're really happy about that. Oh, and one last thing that I forgot to mention, and this is something that was kind of unexpected for me, but we actually, our supplier is super, super nice, super helpful, and has actually been kind of looking out for our product in the Alibaba space. And anytime there's actually somebody who is stealing our pictures from our Amazon listing, he sends us a link, says, hey, this guy's using your pictures, he's using your intellectual property, go report him to get him off of Amazon, or rather off of Alibaba, the pictures. And obviously this is a mutually beneficial thing, right? I don't want people being able to find my exact pictures on an Alibaba listing. Maybe you guys have seen that before. When you go on Alibaba, you're like, oh wow, these are the exact same pictures as the Amazon guy. And the reason why is because most likely the Alibaba supplier is just copying, stealing the images from the Amazon guy. And so we definitely don't want that to happen, because that's going to increase competition, allow people to sell try to sell the exact same product we are with our differentiation. So, that's been also kind of something that we've dealt with. It's been 3 times now that I've actually had to contact Alibaba suppliers. I actually had to also file a couple complaints for trademark, not trademark, copyright, infringement basically for the pictures, because they're our pictures, not theirs, for the intellectual property. And so that is another thing that no one talks to you guys about. So, I mean, that's basically it. I think I've been rambling here for it's been a long time, 20 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. The video will end up being. But I just want to share this with you, right? I want to pull back the curtain, show you guys the good, right? We've showed at the beginning, and some of the bad, some of the things that, kind of make you sometimes really stressed and kind of question the whole, business model, and how one thing can really hurt your, business. But at the end of the day, I believe that Amazon is, again, probably I don't know any other business I could have done this with, right? And had these kind of margins, this kind of success in such a short amount of time, right? And not that this is a get-rich-quick scheme. I put a lot of work into even before all of this stuff. So, but yeah, we started this business with maybe $1,800, $1,600, and now we've got to the point where, the revenue is about $60,000 in 2 months. So, yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. If you guys want to check the link in the description, you'll find a link to my Amazon FBA program. Okay, in that program, obviously, you'll be able to learn every single tactic strategy that I used here to be able to grow and scale my business to the point that you see it right now. Again, it's not going to be easy, but if you're not afraid of a little hard work, make sure to check it out. Right now, it comes with my one-on-one mentorship. So you'll be able to talk with me, work with me, bounce ideas off me. If you have a product you're wondering about, or a product that's not selling, be able to send it to me. I'll check it out, analyze it, and give you kind of what I believe the best steps are. So if you guys enjoyed the video, remember to like the video. Remember that I'll be answering all the comments down below for as long as I can. So if you have any questions about anything, let me know. And if you guys are new, subscribe to the channel. Why not? It's free. And if you ever change your mind in the future, you can just unsubscribe. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next one.